Hey, what's up? It's Matt. We are back with another Restaurant Expert Roundup. Today, we have the Chief People Officer of the Union Square Hospitality Group, Patti Simpson. Patti, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Great to be here.
So I guess for the audience, introduce us to you. Tell us a little about who you are, what you do, and then where you're from. And then I want to dig into your title because it's one of the best titles ever.
Awesome. Hey, I'm happy to have that. So I'm Patti. I've been working in HR, but in restaurants my whole life, my whole career. I love the restaurant business. It's where I got my start, and it's where I found my passion in people. I've been in a lot of casual dining brands. My first really big job was at TGI Fridays. International, a lot of openings. I started as a server to make some money while I was paying back my college loans. So that's kind of how a lot of people end up in the restaurant business until they get their real job. So I found my way through HR and did a lot of learning and training along the way. And now I'm at Union Square Hospitality Group in New York City, working with Chip Wade and Danny Meyer and the team there.
Yeah, I've got the Setting the Table book. I think it's I've seen Danny speak a few times. That's what caught my attention when I was looking through places, looking for people that I know are making an impact in the business, and are making an impact in the industry of the restaurant world. And that's how I came across you. You went from, I guess, because I know Union Square, you have a lot of different restaurants there. Did you find a difference in going from like a TGI Fridays to something that's a lot more one-to-one, like some of the individual restaurants you have there?
Absolutely. Well, TGI Fridays back in the day, and I know it's being run now by Ray Blanchette, and he's bringing it to to the future again. But I loved the brand in what we learned. It was all about the guest. Like, if you don't get it right with the guest, you don't get it right. And that's how I grew up. That's how a lot of people in the restaurant business grew up. But Danny put it into words with Setting the Table, and all about enlightened hospitality. And to me and to everyone in our business, that means being on the side of everyone, and especially our employees first. So when you have an employee first hospitality culture that's written in a book, it makes it easier for me to do my job. So it's great.
Is it required reading? Did you already read it before you came to the team, or was it like your first day, read the book?
No, that's a book that we read in the restaurant industry, probably in hospitality hotels across America and around the world. It's already been published in so many languages, but it's something that we've read in my career back, when I was working at Ignite Restaurant Group. And then along the way, I have it now on my phone, and I just have it bookmarked and kind of do it that way because it's easier to find a chapter or a phrase electronically. But yeah, it is our playbook.
So talk about the Chief People Officer. What does that mean? Because I think too often, I was at a business recently, and the owner was berating one of the bartenders, servers, just on them hard. And you could tell their morale was down. It was in front of guests, which was even worse. It made the owner look worse. But you could tell this person didn't appreciate that the reason that business existed was his people. So I guess talk about your title, the Chief People Officer, and then talk about some of the things that you help to get that out in the organization.
Well, this is a business, a restaurant business, where you start with 0 guests every day, and you get as many want to come back on how you treated them the day before, the week before, the month before. So the salesperson at the table brings the food that is lovingly put together by the people in the kitchen, and then brings the spark and the interest and the understanding of what the business reason is for the guest to be there to the table. So why would you make them mad before they went and did that? It doesn't make any sense. And why treat anybody like that? You don't talk to your family like that. Why would you do that at work? So to me, it's about respect. It's about the integrity of our role is to take care of the guests, and they really don't give a whatever about what we have going on personally. I care about our employees, but our guests are coming to get that place where they feel better after they've been here. You can't feel better if you're watching that interaction between an employee and a supervisor that just doesn't feel right. Even if it's just a little tense, we all pick up on that, especially now. So it's important that the people have a place where they feel comfortable to work, comfortable saying what they have a voice, they have a great environment to be in. And it's my job to make sure that we do all those things as well as we want to.
So what are a couple things that you would tell, because I have a lot of people that follow me that are independent operators, 1, 2 location restaurants, and the struggle is dealing with people that we all have good days, we all have bad days. What are some of the key elements that you think, obviously treating people how you want to be treated, treating them with respect.
Yeah.
What are a couple things you would tell operators that, hey, these are some key things you can really do to make sure that your team is having the best day possible?
Well, I think it comes down to feedback and finding a way to give continuous feedback. We grew up, Matt, where you give that once a year annual review and people are like, okay, what's my raise going to be? Let's carry on. I've got work to do. Now, people expect feedback continuously, number one, and they need it to get better. If you couple that with the age where we don't even use the words okay anymore in a text, we use K. Like we have gone from using all the words to using one letter to, or an emoji to express how people are feeling. So you have to find a way to get through all of that in the here and now and make sure people know how you feel about their performance. Always keep it to the work. If you are not telling them, be sure it's coming out. If you are not telling someone, I'm not really happy with the way that you're doing 1, 2, 3 at work, and you don't have what it takes, the courage, the time to tell someone, they're going to hear it when they call in sick, when they drop a fork on the floor, whatever happens, it always comes out. So you might as well tell them so they can act on it and make it better, and then everyone's better. So I think be honest with people and let them know where they stand. Keep it to the work.
Yeah, and I think you said something there how I crack up because I have 2 kids, a 16 and 18-year-old, and you never get the communication has changed so much. But I think that there's so much that needs to go back. Like one thing I mentioned we talked earlier is that I try to be cognizant that when somebody tells me thank you, that you're welcome, my pleasure. I try to tell them, when somebody does something that positively affects me or does something right, I try to tell them thank you and explain why I appreciate it. And I think too many times that employees, people in the business go through their day without either that positive feedback that they're on the right path, or just understand that they're appreciated what they're doing. Because as a business owner, we've got 25 or so people on our team, and they do 99% of the work at the end of the day. I want to make sure that they're happy and that they're able to understand that they're helping the overall cause.
Yeah. To the operators that may be listening or may hear this sometime in the future, the HR team, the people team are here to smooth the way, to make it easier for you to find ways to have those conversations, because we don't have the keys. We're not there at midnight at 2 a.m. ripping the bar mats off the floor. So use your team to get the help that you need so that everyone does feel good in the day.
So I know you have a background in some of the systems and benefits of the back end of the business. What are a couple key things that you've put in place that you think have helped you either communicate with the team better or do things of that nature? Any softwares?
There's a lot of great software out there. We're just getting ready to roll with a company called 7 Shifts. It's a labor and scheduling and communication tool. I don't know if you've heard of it. That's something that we're just rolling out now. I think talking to your people on the ground and letting them know where things are, especially now, every day. Before, we don't have any restaurants open for in-house dining right now. We're still doing a lot of to-go and national shipping with Goldbelly, yet we don't have any business on the street in New York City or inside. But those things day to day changed. If it was raining, we had to get in touch with our employees. If there was a snowstorm, we had to let people know when we were open, or if we're having to, quarantine because there was an exposure. So communicating with the people that are standing at the table or standing on the station making the food is the priority as a leadership team. So you find something that works for you. Some small companies can't afford it. So find a way to do a group text or anything that makes sense for your team so that you can stay in touch.
In your role, what's the part that you love the most from a standpoint? I mean, dealing with people and dealing with all the different personalities at the different levels, because you're with the organization you're with, it's not a one-off restaurant. There's a lot of different concepts in there. What's your favorite part of the dealing with people?
Just meeting our people. I love. Well, have you ever worked in a restaurant, Matt? You said you never did?
I've not worked as an employee. I've worked as the marketing director and
Okay.
sat in
Okay.
restaurants and watched. So I never had a task like do this. It was always just on my
Okay.
own watch.
Well, there's nothing like getting it right, like having a great shift where it all goes right, or even having a shift where it went wrong and you bring it back. And so for me, it's all about like enabling that to happen or clearing the weeds to make sure that we do that well. We have the best people. We have the absolute best people in New York City, in DC. And I'm excited about what we get to do when we get to reopen because we've streamlined some things and made it easier for people to probably get their work that we think until we get open, we won't know, but we think that we'll be able to move faster and move the ship more quickly because we've streamlined a lot. So I love those projects, but I just love being around our teams. They're amazing people.
Yeah, and I think that's a great attitude as far as I think a lot of times people forget the people. Like you focus in the restaurant business on sales, on your online reviews, on your, the product that goes out on the customers. Like, that's what we help restaurants do is acquire customers. But at the end of the day, I always tell people, you know what, I can bring somebody to your restaurant pretty easily via marketing. But if the food's not good, the service isn't good, and they don't enjoy the atmosphere, they're not coming back no matter how good I am. And at the end of the day, that's controlled by the people in house. And the one thing I find the restaurant business always intrigued me, and I'm glad I'm not in the HR part because that's not my strength. But one thing that always intrigued me about it, I think this is something a lot of people might lose sight of, is that, especially in 2020, there's a lot of issues with kids at home. There's a lot of things happening outside of the workplace, a lot of distractions that when they get to work, they don't want more distractions. A lot of people I've heard from friends of mine in 2020 going to work was the thing that got them out of the distractions and allowed them to, they're really good at that, and it took everything else. And I think a lot of times we forget that, typically there's distractions outside of normal workplace, marital, kids, sports. I mean, I've seen it all, but I know that's a key element too of having the right culture that embraces what's happening, today and inside the walls.
The 2020 was the biggest distraction for our teams. The pandemic was enough. But there was an awful lot of social discourse about Black Lives Matters, and we learned a lot this year about pandemic. PPP. Who knew what it was before we started? What's the best PPE? What do we want to move forward with our quarantine policy? All of that stuff happens, but when you're asking people to come to work with heavy hearts because something happened in a city where someone was shot, and there was just a lot going on. I think we learned as an executive team, a leadership team, that being, in terms of Black Lives Matter, that being non-racist is not the same as being anti-racist. And for our teams, we had to come out and declare who we want to be, which is anti-racist. That's who we are. So, and understand that if there's something in the background in your life because of that, we get it. And it's okay. We're here to help through that at work. The pandemic, we've had people, become sick, lose family members, and you have to be on their side through all of it. That's our job. One of the things we did this year, which was so incredibly quick and amazing, is we put together a 501c3 March 25th, I think, to give money to our employees in need because we had to let everyone go. So we raised and gave away $1.9 million to our current and former employees in 9 months this year. And as the president of that fund, I'm so proud of the work that we did and what we continue to use that to make sure that we're taking care of our teams as we move forward.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I didn't know that, and that's congrats to all of you because that's huge. And a lot of people too. There's a lot of people that are too proud to speak out on something and reach out. So the fact that was there for them, I've got friends of mine that I know were struggling back during the summer, and I'm like, hey, I'm not stupid. I can see through it. Let me help. And it's a pride thing a lot of times. And other times it's, people want to put on a different charade of what's out there. Yeah. But the fact that you all pivoted that quick, I mean, March 25th, that's fast. And all of us thought this was a 3, 4, 5 week thing. And here we are 10 months later. So that went a long way.
Yeah. We knew, I think I knew when we were the first to close down in New York City. When Broadway closed, I knew we were in for something much more different than we had thought we'd be in for. But we did what we thought would be a close for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, but it was indefinite. And we reopened in the fall, but not everywhere, but just at 25%. And now we've reclosed. So we know how to open outside on the street in New York City. And New York City is a great place with all of these street side dining and all that. I don't know if you've been there lately, Matt, but there are all the tables in the street. There's a lot less cars. We're using parking lots for people to eat, or parking spaces. There's lights, there's greenery, and it comes alive. So to do hospitality in that environment when we reopen, we can't wait.
Yeah, I haven't been to New York since it's happened, but I've seen the pictures. I was in Miami, Florida, I guess about a month ago. Okay. And the one main street down there that's typically cars and people on the sidewalks is blocked, and the restaurants all have giant outdoor patios, which kind of cracks me up because my wife and I are sitting there and we're talking. I'm like, it's kind of funny because this looks like it was built for this restaurant.
Right.
And typically that means that there is normally no patio, even though we're on the beach, which there should be a patio. So I'm like, well, I'd be willing to bet this street never comes back, because you can't give a restaurant a 100-person patio on the beach and then take it back. So I think it's going to open up a lot of different atmospheres. And plus it helps the employees, I think, to get some fresh air, get outside, change the environment. Exactly.
We can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah. So 2020, I've told my kids, I've told a lot of friends, and even employees, it brought a lot of tough times. But I think, honestly, if you don't get uncomfortable in life or your career or personally, you don't know what you can't grow. What are a couple of things you took from 2020 that are going to help you as a person that's in charge, a chief people officer? What are a couple of things you took from it?
Well, the first thing we did as a company was we decided we weren't going to let go any of our chefs, any of our GMs. So as soon as we closed down, we said, everyone is going to be on a working team, and we're going to go and take quantum leaps in some of the things that we've been doing and move forward. And we had 9 teams. One of the biggest one was the safety at the beginning, led by our director of safety and facilities. They did an amazing job pulling together we didn't know if you clean this countertop, is it going to come back? You remember, we used to wipe off all of our groceries in the beginning. Remember? You wouldn't put any milk in the refrigerator before you squirted it down with Lysol. So we did a lot of training on that. We looked at, what do our employees really want from an employee value proposition? We redid that whole thing this year, and we'll take that into next year. And I'm really excited about that for our team. We've redone how we do some of the infrastructure and the technology in the business. So we're going to take all of those new learnings and apply them. We'll tweak them, but I think we've got a really good jump start. And we whittled down. We've said, what do we need? We probably don't need as much. When you grow one restaurant at a time, you don't need as much, you realize, at the end of it. So I think we'll take that. We're survivors. We are ready to, and we're optimistic, hopeful. Like, we'll get to the other side. That's always been our plan. It's not about how many we let go. It's being here when it's over, so we can jump back in and be what we want to be for our guests and our teams.
Yeah, I love it. Those are all huge points. The one thing that sticks out to me that I've heard from a lot of my clients was, now you're in New York, so you're accustomed to more takeout, more third-party things like that. But a lot of the people we deal with nationwide, a lot of that, I won't say it was foreign, but it wasn't efficient yet. There was a lot of restaurant clients we dealt with that, third party was, oh my God, the machine rang again. Like that, there was a neg. It's like almost like gift certificates. I used to crack up when we had our boat dealership. We gave away $30,000 in gift certificates a year to fishing events. So we were a fishing boat tournament. And I told our employees that you treat that better than cash when it comes in. And I think there was that kind of treatment of how a lot of people treated gift cards in the past, but also like with third party, that when that thing would ring, a lot of them weren't efficient on how to take phone orders. They didn't have the right online ordering. And I was talking to a client the other day who's got 9 locations, and he said, Matt, we stunk. Our people and the way we taught them, we weren't good at third party carry out. We weren't good at phone. We weren't good at convincing customers to go to the website to order, which is so much easier. Yeah. And he's like, now we have, for 6 months, we've not had a person sit in the restaurant, and we've dominated those. He said, I can't wait. This is like when the doors open up, it's going to be amazing to see, because now we're so more efficient. Our people are so confident in those things. And when people are confident in something, it happens at such a high level, makes everything else work.
Totally agree. I don't know that we were great at it. I don't know that anybody, unless that's where they played in that space before the pandemic. But one of our Enlightened Hospitality investments is Goldbelly, the national deliverer. And not only has everyone else in their businesses gotten good at that, our own businesses have gotten good at our Union Square Events has done a lot of work with Goldbelly. We did a lot of Goldbelly delivery for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. We had a little market in Gramercy Tavern. So we're doing things that we never would have done before, but we love what we're doing. So you just have to stay on brand and make sure it works for you and your guests, and move forward because we don't know the end of it. We just know where we are now. We don't know what's going to happen next. And let's hope we can find a way through it where everybody's in a good place at the end.
Well, in ending, I'm going to blame you guys for some of my poor dining decisions in the past 6 months, because I didn't know what Goldbelly was till about 6 months ago. And I've used it once or twice, I think, but I've made bad decisions locally because I see this giant cake on there. I see, Buddy from the place in New Jersey. I see his stuff on there. I see all these famous brands. I didn't know until I talked to Richard a few weeks ago that you guys were involved with that. But whoever's doing the Facebook ads, the Instagram ads, I stop every time and just wonder what that would be like right now.
Yeah, I miss the food. I have to say, I miss our food. When you come to New York next, we'll break some bread together. But Daily Provisions is one of our newer brands, and we have crullers. And they don't travel so well on Goldbelly, so they're not on Goldbelly. But boy, I can't wait to get an egg sandwich and a cruller when I hit New York in one of our restaurants. I miss that.
So in closing, I guess, is there a place that you would recommend people to, follow you, or if they have questions on this type of stuff, or is there a place that you like to use as far as a resource for how to be a better chief people officer?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on a few HR groups there. I'd love it if anybody wants to connect. I'm on LinkedIn, or they can find me at P. Simpson at USHG.com, and I'm happy to connect. We're getting ready to hire. We have a lot of people to hire moving forward. We're looking for some people in the office. We've got some great management. We're looking for a few chefs, have some new projects coming. And we're looking for the best people, the people that think like we do, that the guest deserves it all. And you grow up with that 51%. I don't know if you read it in the book, 51%, and being that is so important to us. It's critical. It is how we hire. So if you think that way, send me an email. Give me a shout, and I'd love to connect with you.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. That is Patti Simpson, the Chief People Officer for Union Square Hospitality Group. Thank you, ma'am, and look forward to breaking bread when we get up to New York here in the near future.
Indeed. Thank you. Stay well, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.